quantum physics does not prove manifestation, but it does reveal something important, something that explains why so many people feel stuck even after years of affirmations, vision boards, and high-vibe routines. People misuse the word energy, and then wonder why nothing changes. So today we're doing this the honest way. No woo, no hype. We're going to separate what physics actually says from what the internet turned into a fantasy, and then we'll keep what truly works: coherence, your nervous system state, your emotional frequency, and the signal your inner field sustains. Because if you only work at the level of thoughts, you can build an entire lifestyle around ideas and still feel like reality doesn't move. And when that happens, it's tempting to blame the universe, blame manifestation, blame luck, or blame yourself. But the problem is usually simpler. You're sending mixed signals. Your words are saying yes, while your body is broadcasting not safe. Your emotional frequency is broadcasting not enough, and your inner field is broadcasting pressure. Reality doesn't respond to slogans. It responds to signals, especially the signals you repeat. Before we go deeper, if you want grounded, no-woo videos on frequency, vibration, coherence, emotional frequency, and the inner field, subscribe now, because every episode builds on the last. Vibrational State is designed as a progressive path. Each video upgrades your understanding and gives you a clearer map. Now, here's the core idea we're building today. Quantum physics is not a magic wand for money, but it does teach a principle people keep ignoring. Outcomes depend on conditions. And in daily life, one of the strongest conditions you control is your state. Not your mood in a superficial way, but your nervous system mode. The underlying tone your body is broadcasting while you make choices. Let's start with the first problem. The internet uses quantum as a shortcut word. People say things like, "Quantum physics proves your thoughts create reality." The observer effect means your mind collapses outcomes. Everything is energy, so just raise your vibration. Some of those phrases can be poetic, some can be motivating, but if they're taken literally, they create confusion and disappointment, so we need clean definitions. In physics, energy is a measurable quantity. It's not a vibe, it's not a belief, it's not a mood. In spirituality and personal development, energy usually means emotional tone, vitality, presence, inner safety, coherence. People call that vibration. And that can be fine, as long as we are honest about what we mean. So in vibrational state, when we say frequency or vibration, we're not claiming physics proves manifestation. We're naming something practical. Your emotional frequency is the state you repeatedly return to. Your inner field is the emotional atmosphere you carry into decisions, conversations, and actions. And coherence is the opposite of mixed signals. Because when your thoughts, emotions, body, and behavior align, your signal becomes clean. Now, does quantum physics validate that as a physical law of money? No. But it does validate the idea that conditions and interactions matter. And when you change conditions, outcomes change. So instead of arguing metaphysics, we use the principle correctly. If your outcomes feel stuck, don't only change your words, change your conditions. And one of your biggest conditions is your nervous system state. Let's talk about quantum physics honestly, without drowning in jargon. Quantum physics is a framework for describing how systems behave at very small scales. It deals with probability, measurement, interaction, and limits on what you can know simultaneously. One of the most misunderstood phrases is observer effect. Online, observer becomes human consciousness. But in physics, observation is often simply measurement, an interaction between a system and a measuring device. That interaction affects what is recorded and what can be predicted. So the careful takeaway is not. Your desire collapses the universe into your dream life. The careful takeaway is, when you measure or interact with a system, outcomes depend on the interaction and the setup. In other words, conditions matter. Now here's the part that actually helps your life. Most people treat their inner world as irrelevant conditions. They treat stress, urgency, fear, and pressure like background noise. But that background noise becomes the lens through which you interpret reality, and it becomes the fuel behind your decisions. And decisions compound. So you don't need quantum physics to believe in magic. You need a map for how outcomes are shaped in real life. Here's the real chain. State shapes attention. Attention shapes perception. Perception shapes choices. Choices shape behavior. Behavior shapes outcomes. Outcomes compound. That's it. Not mystical, not supernatural, not random. And this is where vibration becomes useful, if we define it correctly. When you are in a survival state, tight chest, shallow breath, urgency, your attention narrows. You scan for threat. You search for certainty. You interpret neutral events as negative. You miss subtle opportunities. You rush. You procrastinate. You over-control. Even if you say, "I want abundance," your system is living in scarcity logic. Not enough, not safe, not now. And that scarcity logic leaks into everything. How you price, how you negotiate, how you market, how you follow through, how you handle delays, how you respond to rejection, how you treat money decisions. Now compare that to a regulated state. A regulated state does not mean happy, it means stable, calm alertness, wider perception, longer time horizon, more tolerance for uncertainty. In that state, attention widens. You notice patterns, you see options, you choose cleaner actions, you communicate with less fear, you stop leaking energy into chaos. That's why some people seem to receive more. It's not that they never work, it's that their work is not being driven by threat. Their signal is cleaner, and clean signals create cleaner outcomes. This is also why positive thinking can backfire, because forcing positivity on top of a nervous system in threat creates a split. Your mind becomes a motivational speaker. Your body remains in alarm. That is a mixed signal, and mixed signals produce unstable results. So the real quantum takeaway is not magic, it's precision. Stop using physics as proof. Use it as a reminder that conditions matter. And now we ask the only question that changes your life. What conditions are you sustaining inside your body while you say you want prosperity? Now let's clean up the second major confusion. People say, everything is energy. Sometimes they mean everything is made of physical stuff that can be described mathematically. Other times they mean everything is mood and vibration. Those are not the same statement, so we need clean definitions again. In physics, energy is measurable. In personal development, energy often means state. So in vibrational state, we translate energy into a practical model. Emotional frequency, the emotional baseline you repeatedly return to. Inner field, the emotional atmosphere you carry into action. Coherence, alignment across thoughts, body, emotion, and behavior. Now here's the controversial truth that people often resist. Many outcomes in life do not depend on effort alone. Effort matters, but effort is not the deciding factor. Because effort itself has a frequency. Two people can do the same amount of work. One does it from survival, urgency, fear, pressure, control. The other does it from coherence, stability, clarity, calm focus, clean boundaries. And the outcome is not the same. Why? Because survival effort creates predictable behavior, rushing the timing, over-explaining, discounting too early, trying to control the response, abandoning the plan when discomfort rises, constantly switching strategies, chasing quick relief. Survival effort creates noise. Coherent effort creates signal. Coherent effort looks like short, clear communication, consistent output, boundaries that protect energy, patience with the process, calm follow-through, fewer emotional mistakes. Now let's make this painfully obvious with real examples. Example 1. Sending a proposal. A person in survival mode writes a long message trying to control the outcome. They add extra promises. They discount before being asked. They follow up too soon. They fear rejection, so they overcompensate. That proposal carries fear, even if the words are polite. A person in coherence sends a clear message. Here's the offer. Here's the outcome. Here's the next step. Here's the timeline. Here's the boundary. Short, calm, clean. Same offer, different signal, different result. Example 2. Money decisions. In survival mode, people seek emotional relief, impulse buys, avoiding numbers, chasing quick wins, panic selling, starting and stopping systems. In coherence, people build systems, tracking without panic, planning without obsession, executing without urgency, tolerating discomfort, repeating clean habits over time. Those differences compound into different realities. Example 3. Opportunity. People say opportunities show up for some people. Often, opportunities are there, but survival mode cannot see them. Survival mode narrows attention. You miss the message you should have answered. You avoid the conversation that could have changed everything. You don't notice the pattern that's been repeating. You don't see the door because you're staring at the wall. Coherence widens attention. It's not mystical, it's functional. So when you hear the word vibration, don't think mystical sparkle. Think, what is the state running my choices today? Because prosperity is not only money. Prosperity is the quality of the decisions you make repeatedly. Now here's a subtle block most people never address. Mixed signals. You say you're ready for more, but your body expects loss. So you sabotage. You delay, you over-control. You disappear. You choose comfort over growth. You restart instead of continuing. Mixed signals create inconsistent action, and inconsistent action creates inconsistent results. Coherence is the opposite of mixed signal. Coherence is a clean signal, and a clean signal produces clean outcomes over time. Not because reality is magical, because your behavior becomes aligned and repeatable. Now at this point someone might say, so this is just psychology. Not exactly. Mindset is what you think. State is what your body broadcasts while you think it. You can think, I'm confident, while your breath is shallow. You can think, I trust the universe, while your shoulders are tense and your belly is braced. That tension changes how you negotiate, how you handle delays, and how you tolerate risk. And those changes shape real outcomes. So it's not just psychology, it's a deeper system that includes body, emotion, attention, choices, behavior. And yes, this is why effort alone doesn't decide prosperity. Because effort without coherence becomes expensive. Now, this is not a therapy session, and I'm not going to guide you through a full exercise. But Vibrational State will always give you tools, not rituals, so you understand what supports coherence and why. Here are a few tools that are simple, grounded, and powerful. Tool 1. Longer exhales. A longer exhale signals safety to the nervous system. When the body feels safer, decisions get cleaner. Less threat means less impulsivity, less overreaction, less desperation. And desperation is expensive. Tool 2. Reduce background tension. Jaw, shoulders, belly. That tension is a quiet alarm that never turns off. Even if you try to think abundance, the alarm keeps broadcasting scarcity. When you lower that alarm, your inner field becomes readable. You stop sending mixed signals. Tool 3. Single task attention. Not manifesting, not forcing imagery of money. Training attention means stopping the leak of energy into chaos. Stable attention creates stable actions. Stable actions create stable results. Tool 4. One clean action. Not hustle, not forcing. One calm step that proves to your body, we are safe enough to move. That builds self-trust, one of the strongest prosperity signals there is. Tool 5. Remove one leak. A leak can be one avoidance behavior, one boundary you keep postponing, one relationship dynamic that drains you, one financial habit you refuse to look at. 1. Strategy hopping pattern. When you stop leaking, coherence increases without you needing to believe harder. Now let's make an important reality check. This is not a promise that you can vibrate and never work. It's a correction of what work actually is. Work is not just hours. Work is signal plus execution. And the same execution, run from different nervous systems, produces different outcomes over time. Now let's talk about timing, because this is where people say, the universe favored them. Opportunity is rarely random. Opportunity is often perception, timing, and readiness. In survival mode, timing tends to be off. You reach out when you feel desperate. You pitch while emotionally tense. You negotiate while bracing for loss. Even if the words are correct, the signal is not clean. In coherence, timing improves because perception improves. You sense when to pause and when to move. You can wait without collapsing. You can hear "not now" without panic. That stability changes everything. Coherence also changes communication. In survival mode, communication tends to be too long, too defensive, too eager to be understood, too afraid of rejection. In coherence, communication becomes short, clear, calm. Calm is persuasive because calm signals capacity. Capacity is a prosperity frequency. Capacity says, I can hold more, I can manage more, I can deliver. And when people feel capacity in you, they trust you more. Now, if you want a clean formula, you can remember, it's this. State shapes attention. Attention shapes choice. Choice shapes behavior. Behavior shapes outcome. Outcomes compound. That chain is what people call vibration. It's not an aesthetic. It's causality through state. So where does quantum belong in this conversation? Not as proof, not as a shortcut, not as science confirms my fantasy. Quantum belongs as a reminder that reality is shaped by conditions, and your inner state is one of the conditions you can train. If you want a new outcome, you don't need mystical certainty. You need a new signal, a stable inner field, a regulated nervous system, a coherent emotional frequency. That's the foundation of vibrational state. Next episode, we answer the big question honestly. Does quantum physics prove manifestation? We'll separate what physics actually says from what the internet turned into fantasy, so you can stop chasing hype and start training coherence. If you want this to be a daily progressive path, subscribe. Welcome to Vibrational State.